Good morning. Okay, so we are again continuing with our percents chapter, but today we're going to start talking about simple interest. So you guys are 11 or most of you are 12 years old by now. In just a few years, you might have a bank account, you might have a job, you might start some investing. So simple interest is really important to know when you're becoming closer to being an adult. So first of all, simple interest is money earned on a savings account or an investment. It can also be money that you pay for borrowing money. So interest can be a good thing or interest can be a bad thing. So we're going to talk more specifically about those. Right here at the top of the page, I've given you the formula that we're going to use to solve every problem. Capital I stands for the simple interest equals P times R times T. So when you have three variables right next to each other, that means to multiply them. We're going to calculate the interest by multiplying. It says P stands for the principal. The principal is the amount that you borrowed or the amount that you deposited. The R stands for the rate. So interest rates change frequently. We're always going to write the rate as a decimal. So the rate is going to be given to you as a percent. We're going to convert that percent to a decimal to calculate. And then the last thing, the T, is the time in years. So for how long is it going to take you to pay back the money, or for how long are you going to keep the money in your savings account to build interest? All right, problem number 1. You put $500 in a savings account. It earns 3% simple interest per year for 4 years. Okay, that was a lot of information. Let's go back and look at that again. You put $500 in a savings account. It earns 3% simple interest for 4 years. What I like to do is go above each part of that problem and write either the I, the P, the R, or the T. So $500 is the P. That's the principal. That's the amount that you're putting in the bank. The 3% simple interest is the rate. So that's the R. And the 4 years is the time. So remember this formula up here. I equals PRT. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So we're always going to start with our formula. I equals PRT. So we're supposed to find, if you look down here underneath the problem, we have to find the interest, and we're going to find the balance in your account after 4 years. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start substituting for my variables. So I know the principal is $500. I know the rate is 3%, which we're going to write as 300ths, 0.03, and the time is 4 years. So now I'm going to go to my calculator and multiply 500 times 0.03 times 4. And the answer that my calculator gives me is 60. Since we're talking about money, I'm going to label that as interest equals $60. So that's part 1 of our answer. You're going to earn $60 in interest over 4 years. So then the balance in your account is calculated by taking the amount that you deposited and adding the interest. So after 4 years, that $500 is going to turn into $560. Number 2, you put $1,500 in a savings account. It earns 5% simple interest for 6 years. So I'm going to go ahead and label the parts of my problem. The $500 is the principal. The 5% is the interest rate, and the 6 years is the time. So we're always going to start every problem with capital I for interest equals PRT, principal times rate times time. So I'm going to start over here. Interest equals the $1,500 times a rate of 5%, which is 5/100ths, times 6 years. So I'm going to calculate that on my calculator, and my calculator says 450. So anytime we're talking about simple interest, we're going to label that with a $sign. So interest equals $450. That's the amount of money that you've earned from depositing that money into your bank account. The balance is always going to be an addition problem. We're going to take the $1,500 that you deposited, and we're going to add the interest that you earned. So after 6 years, you're going to have $1,950 in your account. $450 interest, $1,950 balance in your savings account. Number 3, you put $940 in a savings account. It earns 5.2 simple interest per year for 7 years. Okay, so I see $940, put it into the savings account, that's a deposit, 5.2% simple interest for 7 years. So I'm going to label, I've got my principal, my rate, and my time. We start every problem with the formula. Capital I for interest equals principal times rate times time. So the interest for this problem is going to be the $940 deposit. Now remember, to convert a percent to a decimal, we have to move that decimal 2 places to the left. So 5.2% is going to be 0.052, and we're going to multiply all of that times 7 years. So we're going to go to our calculator, multiply all of that. We're going to label this with a $sign because we're talking about money, and that says $342.16. That's the interest that you've earned on your savings account. So the interest is $342.16, and the balance is going to be your $940 deposit plus the $342.16 in interest that you've earned. So at the end of 7 years, your bank account will have $1,282.16. So you've earned $342.16 interest. You now have $1,282.16 in your bank account. All right, this problem is going to be a little bit different because now it says that you borrow $1,000 from the bank to buy a used car. So let's say that you've graduated from high school, you're going to college, and you need a car. So you find a car for $1,000, you don't have $1,000, so you have to go to the bank and they will loan you $1,000 to buy the car, but you have to pay the bank back. You not only pay them back the $1,000, they're also going to charge you interest on your loan. So you borrow $1,000 from the bank. They charge 2.8% interest for 3 months. We are still using the same formula. The interest is still calculated by principal times rate times time. So notice down here underneath the problem, it's asking us to find the interest and the TTBR. Now we've given you the definition for that. TTBR is total to be repaid. That's the principal plus the interest, and that's called the amount paid. So we're going to find the total to be repaid. All right, so we are going to substitute for the principal was $1,000 at a rate of 2.8%. Remember, move that decimal twice to the left, 0.028. Now, think carefully about where it says 3 months. That's not the number 3. 3 would be 3 years. 3 months is 1/4 of a year, right? 3 months out of 12 months is 1/4 of a year. So we're actually going to multiply that by 2,500ths. When we go to our calculator and multiply all of that, the answer says $7. So in 3 months, you're going to owe $7 interest back to the bank. And if you borrowed $1,000, you're going to have to pay them the $1,000 back. And if you're able to pay back that loan in 3 months, you're also going to owe them $7 in interest. So you are going to pay back $1,007. What if we didn't know the rate, but we knew everything else? Same thing. We're going to use the formula and substitute. So this one's a little bit different. Watch this one carefully. You put $1,500 in a savings account. You earn $840 interest after 8 years. This one says find the rate, not find the interest, find the rate. So instead of starting, so I equals PRT. So $1,500 is the principal. You earned $840. Oh, that's the interest. The 8 years is the time. So this time when I'm substituting, I will not have the R. We're solving for the rate. So I'm going to substitute the $840 for the interest. I'm going to substitute $1,500 for the principal. I'm going to leave my R in my equation because I don't know what it is yet, times 8. So now I know $840 is equal to, so now I'm going to go to my calculator and multiply $1,500 times 8. 1,500 times 8 is 12,000. 12,000 times what? 12,000 R equals 840. So now we're down to a one-step equation. We're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, which is 12,000. So go to your calculator, divide 840 by 12,000. And that is a 7% interest rate. Rate equals 0.07, which is 7%. So the interest rate was 7%. Now the balance is going to be the $1,500 that you deposited plus the $840 interest that you earned. So at the end of 8 years, that $1,500 is now $2,340. 7% interest rate, $2,340 balance. All righty.